Hai, Assalamualaikum and salam yatim dariku to Madam MAF651 Hussain and my fellow AC220 classmate. We are from MAC2208F and we have been appointed to discuss and present on the topic just in time. So before I start on the presentation, I would like to introduce my group members. First one is me myself, Anisha Kira Adwa binti Madila, which I will cover on the topic definition of just-in-time, the objective and the characteristic, and as well as the application of just-in-time system. And the next member, Mizahani binti Ngadenan, will discuss on the JIT production and what is JIT production and as well as the features of JIT. The third member is Hazina binti Osman. Hazina will be presenting on the JIT purchasing and what is JIT purchasing and the features of the JIT purchasing as well as the step of JIT system. And the last member is Nur Zulaika Nazira binti Zulkarnain, who will discuss on the difference of just-in-case and just-in-time, and benefits and drawbacks of just-in-time, and as well as the challenges of implementing just-in-time system.
Definition.
As I said earlier, we are going to discuss on what just-in-time system. So we need to know the definition of just-in-time. So basically, just-in-time can be defined as an inventory management system in which goods are received from suppliers only as they are needed. Just that, as simple as that.
Objective.
Moving on the second subtopic, which is the objectives of just-in-time. There are several objectives of just-in-time, but for this presentation, I will be covered on the three main objectives. So the first objective will be to increase the inventory turnover. When the inventory turnover increase, the demand for the products will be increased as well, and business will efficiently manage its inventory. Hence, no overpurchased inventory will be incurred and as well as low risk of wastage. The second objective is to reduce inventory holding costs. This is because excessive inventory will lead to increase on the holding cost. Thus, we need to order stock whenever it's needed only to reduce the inventory holding costs. And the third and the last objective is to give the manufacturer more control. JIT is the work on demand pool basis. It responds to customer needs only. There will going to be two scenarios here. The first scenario is it will increase in production for in-demand product, and second scenario is decrease in production for slow-moving items.
Characteristic.
Next, I will discuss on the four characteristics of JIT system. Starting off with the top left corner, high quality levels for raw materials, components and finished products. So since JIT has TQM programs, TQM refers to total quality management, any quality problems will become apparent immediately because the defective outputs are inputs for the next stage of production process itself. Thus, all raw materials, components and finished products will be on the high quality levels. Next characteristics as you can see on the top right corner, purchase of materials, manufacture of sub-assemblies and products in small lots. So since materials and goods are only be purchased and produced only when it needed, so all the batch sizes and the inventory levels will be on small quantity and low levels only. And for the third characteristics, as shown on the bottom left corner, simplified production processes. The term simplified here meaning that the JIT production system is a very simple process where it begins with the arrival of materials from the suppliers and end with the delivery of goods to the customer. And the fourth or the last characteristics on the bottom right corner, flexible work teams. The term flexible here meaning that the employee can perform multiple tasks. This is to ensure that the team members can fill in when they are needed in the production line call. So this is because JIT relies on multifunctional / cross-trained employees.
Type of just-in-time.
There are two types of just-in-time, which is just-in-time production and just-in-time purchasing.
Just-in-time production.
First, I would like to explain about just-in-time production. Just-in-time production is a method in which products are made in response to demand rather than in excess of demand. It is to avoid the waste that comes with overproduction and excess inventory. Next, there are few features in just-in-time production, including pull method of material flow. Pull method is a method for minimizing waste in any production process. Pull method allows you to start new work only when there is a demand from customers. This allows you to lower expenses and save money on storage. Next features is production process simplified in just-in-time production. Simplicity is necessary for the process to go quickly. Next features is small batch size and low inventory levels, which is the features means that materials will be purchased and the firm will make the product only if it is required. As the small size reduces in process inventory, carrying costs, storage space, and makes for easier inspection and rework. The last but not least, the features in just-in-time production is quick and inexpensive setup. Setup times must be decreased if small batches are to be produced.
Just-in-time purchasing.
What is just-in-time purchasing? Just-in-time purchasing is when you buy a good to meet a customer demand. With just-in-time, you plan purchase when the customer order. You buy the minimum number of the product to meet the customer demand. In the result, a smaller order, more frequent deliveries. Just-in-time purchasing reduce inventory carrying costs. Less inventory means less storage and insurance. Just-in-time also save money in the short term. Here is the feature of just-in-time purchasing. First feature will be the supplier commitment. Buyer don't care so much about the lower price in the just-in-time purchasing as they do about the long-term relationship between them and the supplier. With no incoming inspection, on-time deliveries and fair price, the supplier most likely to get the contract is the one who can meet all of these requirements. Next will be right. Which company will have the right to ensure that they have the right quantity, timing and quality of raw material and their productions. Third feature will be less cost, which explains that the company don't have to spend on leasing any warehouse for storage, since all this product will be sent to the customer once the company get the product from the supplier. Lastly, specify the quality target. Minimize any defective supplies that could cause a production delay. Here we can see strategy in implementing JIT purchasing. First one is get support from the top management. By implementing JIT philosophy require a culture change in the organization. Such concept cannot be implemented successfully without a total support from the top management. Secondly would be support from the engineering personnel. Engineering is responsible for making technical specification for the material a company buy. Third, cooperation from the supplier. To the supplier, to cooperate require more active and engaged working relationship with the supplier. It's also called for a change in mindset by encourage both buyer and supplier to commit a long-term pursuit of value from their collaboration relationship. And lastly, employee readiness and support. The employee must be told beforehand about the implementation of JIT purchasing for them to get prepared, and they also guarantee that with the new system, their job are not be threatened.
Steps of just-in-time.
Let's move on to the step of JIT system. The first step will be customer place an order. Once the manufacturer receives the order, they will send it to the supplier, and then supplier will deliver the product or the material required to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer will deliver it to the customer, and the customer will receive the order.
Just in case versus just in time.
Thank you, Azrina. First of all, my name is Zulaika. I will continue the slide with the difference between just in case and just in time. Just in case is the traditional model of production in which the company will maintain large raw material to meet any level of demand which is not based on actual current demand. There is a strategy for just in case where the company keep large inventory on hand. They also incur a higher cost. Large inventory order are made, not rely on demand forecasting. Just in time is inventory management where the company will order raw material from the supplier as required to meet the immediate customer demand. The inventory strategy that they ensure the company purchase raw material only to meet the immediate production or sell needs. Lower inventory cost, company purchase inventory in a smaller purchase, rely on accurate demand forecasting to avoid over or under buying inventory. They have three benefits of just-in-time. First, reduce space needed. There's not required as much space for inventory. They also reduce storage cost. The second one is small investment because the great option for the small company to invest and maintaining a healthy and smooth cash flow. The third one is waste elimination. Avoid purchase unnecessary stock and prevent goods from obsolete and damage.
The drawbacks of just-in-time.
If they have benefit, they also come with the drawbacks. So the drawbacks of JNT, they also have three. First is inventory shortage, lead to disrupt production and they're based on prediction. The second one is the dependency on supplier. They have risk on delaying delivery to the customer. They also fall to meet customer expectation. And the last one is more planning required. Just-in-time need to analysis based on sale trend. They also might need extra or higher inventory.
The challenges of just-in-time.
Next, we have four challenges of implementing just-in-time. Firstly is lack of management support may come from various reasons, such as lack of experience and training, resistance to change to the new system, and his initiating improvement program. One is lack of resources or financial constraint. Financial and sufficient resources are required for any improvement initiative to be successful and effective. The third one is lack on cooperation from supplier. The supplier will have a little interest to give cooperation to the company, as it will only benefit the buyer. And last one, employees resistant to change. Some of them might be ready to venture out for their comfort zone, while some might not. So that's all from me. I will invite Anis to continue our slide.
The application of just-in-time.
There are a lot of big corporations out there that practice just-in-time system to the company. One of them are Toyota, McDonald's, Dell, the computer developer, Harley Davidson, and as well as Amazon.com. But for today's presentation, for this particular presentation, we will only cover on the two big corporations only, which is the Toyota and McDonald's. So back in 1970, Toyota was the first company to successfully utilize just-in-time system, and it is still one of the most successful just-in-time firms up until today. So Toyota only produce its vehicles or automobile based on the orders that they have received through their dealers. So only the parts that are needed to manufacture vehicles are received on time. So the second big corporation that will be discussed is McDonald's. Basically, McDonald's is the same as Toyota. I mean, in terms of the practices of the application of the just-in-time systems. The difference is just the industry. Toyota is the automotive industry and McDonald's is a fast food industry or food and beverages industry. That is the only difference in my opinions. The idea is still the same. So McDonald's, since it's fast food chain industry, so they will not be assembling the burgers, okay, the hamburgers or the cheeseburgers unless they receive an order from the customer itself. They have developed new burger technology which will improve the customer satisfaction and as well as reduce the wastage in the making of the food, of the product itself. So McDonald's able to make food fast enough to wait until it's been ordered. So in conclusion, just-in-time system is a very practical system that can be practiced in manufacturing process or any corporation. This can be proven or supported by the application of the big corporation itself, such as Dell, McDonald's and Toyota. Our presentation have come to an end, so I would like to thank everyone for lending us your ears and your attention, and we would like to apologize for any inconvenience that we might have caused during this presentation. However, we have decided not to end this video just yet because at the end of this video, we would like to share a video by Alex Berman called Just in Time by Toyota, the world's smartest production system. We hope that this video will assist you in better understanding on this topic. Should you have any question, feel free to ask us during the summary presentation during the class letter. Let's watch the video together without further ado.
I'm Alex Berman, and you're watching Selling Breakdowns. Whenever you buy a complex piece of equipment such as a TV or a car, do you ever wonder how exactly it all came together? Well, ever since the Industrial Revolution, that how has been a vital question for many businesses. Today we're going to look at how in post-war Japan, Toyota helped to create one of the smartest production systems that we have, named Just-in-Time. We'll look at how it works and how you can apply the philosophy and practices to many other areas of your business. After World War II, Japan faced some difficult problems. They didn't have a lot of cash, resources were scarce, and there wasn't a lot of free land to expand factories. However, Taiichi Ohno at Toyota managed to turn these problems into advantages by slowly creating the just-in-time system. The idea didn't come all at once, it's more that through the 50s and 60s, various changes were implemented and improved until the 70s, where the wider world began to realize the benefits and adopted a similar approach. So, what is just-in-time? The philosophy is to make the entire production system only work with what it needs and to minimize wait times between each stage. The biggest savings is normally around inventory. Before just-in-time, a company would keep a warehouse filled with the parts and raw materials it needed. When supplies were getting low, they'd reorder when they had just enough to keep going until the new delivery came. But Toyota realized, what if you just keep making that same order as soon as the next one arrives? That way, you never need to keep this stockpile of spare parts. The cost savings were huge since warehousing is seriously expensive. You need to pay for massive space, power, staff, security, and for all the parts that are just sitting there waiting, not making you money or adding value to your product. And this is the core of just-in-time. You look at each area of production and ask, is this adding value to the product? If it isn't, maybe there's a better way to do it. You cut everything down to its most efficient form with almost no room for error, which is where the risk in just-in-time lies. Toyota used Japan's relatively small size to its advantage. You could rely on suppliers delivering exactly on time because they only had to travel small distances. This is important because if you get problems with supply, it can shut down the whole system. But it's normally worth the risk because the savings are huge on inventory and staff costs. More than this though, you're forced to create a working philosophy that there's no room for error. You don't have spare parts or spare time, so you have to make sure everything functions perfectly. Often, efficiency comes at the cost of quality, but not in this case. In just-in-time, you're forced into quality in order to be efficient. That's why it's applicable to many other areas of business. The best way to think about it is if we simplify everything to two approaches: just-in-time and just-in-case. With just-in-case, you're trying to minimize risk by always giving yourself a buffer. You'll carry extra stock so you can swap out faulty items. You'll overstaff certain areas because they've occasionally had too much work to deal with. You'll support a service that just a few customers ask for. With just-in-time, you don't simply cut these areas and cross your fingers that nothing bad happens. No, you work out how you can avoid them happening in the first place. Because this is money that's wasted unless a bad thing happens, you're effectively investing in mistakes. Better quality control means staff can trust the stock that they have so they don't need a backup. As for workloads, the only reason one department is hit by a workload that they can't handle is because there's not enough visibility between departments. If your sales team know the capacity of production and its current status, then they won't put in an order that can't be filled. And as for offering a service with limited customer appeal, well, maybe you cut it out completely, or you just find a way to merge it with other services so the resources it requires are absolutely minimal. When done well, the just-in-time philosophy should be good for morale too, because the whole point of it is telling your staff, I'm trusting you to perform consistently. And I think most of us respond well to that kind of respect. Want to learn more about business theory and history? Be sure to like and subscribe to be notified of our next segment.